Hi, this is Phil from SkiTalk.com. We are here at Elevate headquarters in Seattle, and we're in the K2 boot room, and we're going to be talking about the all-new Cortex collection of boots with Tom Petrowski, who you know from being on SkiTalk.com, an active contributor, answers a ton of questions. How I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
First of all, Tom, what is your title with K2?
So I am the global product line manager for ski boots.
And if you notice, that accent does not come out in his posts. It really is amazing. He does a really good job of hiding it.
I'm sure most people don't realize I'm English. I am English.
So, well, we got the new collection of boots. So let's start from the top and work our way down.
Cool. So Cortex is obviously the new collection for us. So it's the new low volume collection. Now, when we actually started this, we had kind of two definitions.
Okay.
We were calling it HPLV, so high performance low volume, because from the very beginning, the low volume market's pretty small. It's of all the volumes of the boots, it's the ones that sell the least. So if you're going to come into the market, I really wanted us to have a reason to exist in that.
Right.
So you can either come in with kind of average consumer level boot, but then it's like, all right, well, what are we doing differently? Or there is also like your consumer level race boots, your Reds to CSE, your Arbellas. We wanted to come in with something that doesn't exist, which was basically an amalgamation of the two.
Right.
So all the performance of that race boot, but with the everyday ease of use, ease of boot fitting, just ease of a regular boot. And that is what Cortex is. So it's for that consumer who wants the best performance, but they want a boot that's easy to live with, basically.
Now, this boot obviously has been in development. I saw an earlier version of this boot last year, skiing with Mike Porter out in Colorado. Mike, PSA top level as you can get, U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame inductee. We played around the boot back then. He was duly impressed with the boot, and Mike is very particular in what he has on his feet. We also just did that recent article on the site saying, do you really need a race boot? And I mean, this boot really goes right to that point.
Exactly. Yeah. Because there's a lot of things to love about race boots, obviously. Like, they ski extremely well. They're also really cold. They're really hard to get on and off. There's a lot of points you already brought up.
Right.
And they were kind of what we were thinking about from the start here. We did wonder, though, like, there's a reason, obviously, race boots are made like they were. So we were like, well, can we put a fast-fit instep on it? Can we make it easier to get on and off? The simple answer is yes and no. If you were a World Cup racer at the very, very top, no. For everybody else, it makes absolutely no difference.
Right.
Basically.
Unless you've got that pencil thin 92 millimeter foot, then you might need something a little bit different.
But you can still put the features like this on it. It literally is for the very -1% who need the very top. But the problem is for most brands is they build a race boot and they're stuck to building it for a World Cup racer.
Right.
We don't have that because we don't have a race team.
Right.
So we were able to build all of the performance in, but with the features that are good for everybody. We didn't get tied into having to make it to 4 races, for example.
Right. No, I think that's really good. In your development, and you were also a very early adapter with BOA. And I know you work very closely with BOA as far as in designs them. And you were also one of the first really to change the shape of your overlap to accommodate BOA instead of just obviously making the outside molds a little bit different. But you did a lot internally in that whole boot design to accommodate BOA and to make it work best for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I tried it 5 years ago now that I first tried BOA, and I was a boot fitter for 16 years before I started this, so I put boots on many a foot.
Right.
I also have a hard foot to fit. I've got a very high instep, mid-shape heel with a wide forefoot, so I always struggle. I can't even close some of our buckle boots over the instep. I tried on the BOA boot, and for me, it just instantly fits. So I was like, all right, if this performs as well as a buckle, there's no reason not to do it.
Right.
So we knew if we were going to try it, we were going to test it. But we realized early on, like, if we're going to do it, let's build a boot for it. Let's not just put it on a buckle shell and call it good. Let's do it properly. So our engineering team did some amazing work. As you said, we've got a few proprietary little tweaks that we make to the shells. But yeah, we really believe if you're going to build a BOA boot, build a BOA boot.
Right.
Don't just make it a variation of a buckle boot.
Right. And how it just engulfs the foot really nicely. And that one of the things that we've noticed early on with your boot. But obviously with the Cortex, BOA is not the only story.
No, we're almost at this point now where BOA is an afterthought,
Yeah,
honestly.
it's almost
like,
understood.
yeah, it's just like that's the closure system, but we're not selling it with that. We're selling
Right.
it for what this boot is,
Right.
basically. So yeah, there's a ton of features in this boot, and it honestly is a bit of a departure from where we've been in the past. This is actually the first from the ground up boot I've developed. So obviously this wall, everything here I did develop from Dispatch, but Dispatch was already in the works when I came on 5 years ago. Mindbender, Recon BOA, it's basically an evolution of a shell we had.
Right.
This is the first one where I came up with the concept from the beginning and worked it all through. So it's a little bit of a departure from what we've done. I think if people have tried our boots in the past, we've got a lot of the same kind of elements that work for us, like a comfortable fit, a very approachable boot, but it's now got performance that we've never had in the past. So.
No, I think that's really good. And again, looking at the features, and we're just going to stay focused on the top of the line, the 140 here. Again, we've got obviously on some of these boots, we do have a regular DIN sole, 5355 soles. You've got the tech soles. They got the 23223 soles on this here, which again creates a little more versatility with the boot. But for those people out there that still need a DIN sole that is backwards compatible with that, so that's nice. We do have the tech fitting here, and we're seeing a bit of a trend right now in the industry with tech fittings with a fixed cuff, because a lot of people that are really more inbounds maybe doing a little bit, they're not necessarily doing a lot of skinning with that stride. This is going to be a little more stable without sacrificing performance.
Exactly, yeah. And I really believe it's come down to the type of bindings that people are using. So it's like 10 years ago, if you were going on a touring binding, you were going on a little lightweight pin binding. That was your option.
Exactly.
So a boot like this makes no sense. But now that you've got things like the Duke, the cast system, there are bindings out there that are allowing people to get out into side country. We probably won't even call it backcountry, but do stuff that just wasn't possible before. So adding the tech insert in, yes, you lose the ability to do any canting. So we're not going to add it to every model. And I know you don't like canting. You're not really into that. No. Oh. But so we're not going to add it into every model. And like you already mentioned, like the 130, for example, I built this for you. Because this one, we put your Alpine soles on it straight away. So when you're doing your assessment, you're not having to switch out that grip.
Right. And the green matches my eyes.
There you go, exactly. I've seen the outfits you wear. But yeah, so it's adding a feature in that some people are going to appreciate.
I don't disagree.
But it's not for everybody. And that's the nice part about the tooling is we can do it to some and not to others.
Yeah. Now, again, work with the 140 here. Again, let's work from the outside in. We'll get to that line, which actually looks really nice. But on the 140, we do have the power plate in the front. Something you guys have been doing for a while, which I think is really nice. Adds a level of performance, a little more response out of that front. You can see inside here, it's fairly narrow in that heel compared to a lot of even the other 97, 98s out there. So that's really nice. And when I tried the boot on, even though it wasn't my measured size, I really feel that heel pocket was there. Now, as far as design on this, also, you do have a very aggressive power strap that does have some elasticity in it, which is also really nice. Obviously, we've got our dual BOA on this also. Double cuffs, double spine in the back, lateral, medial lateral cuff alignment on that also, which is also really nice. Now, liner.
You missed one big part.
What did I miss?
You missed a big part here. So a lot of the reason a lot of race boots are cold is because they don't have a full width boot bottom. Most race boots, when you look at them, it's down the middle and you end up standing on the shell. The shell is out to the elements. That's why a lot of these boots are cold. So from the very beginning, we knew we wanted to put a full width boot bottom there because this is what's going to keep you much warmer in the boot, but also give you more shock absorption in the base. So this is actually a huge part for the comfort and the warmth of the boot.
And even looking at this, you've got a little bit of air pockets in here, and also that's going to be nice and grippy. That liner is not going to move around at all. So the other point is that this is a really flat Zeppa. So many have that little bit of hump on that. And if we're going to put a footbed in there, we've got to grind that down. This we do not have to.
You got it. I think you've told me this in the past. If not you, a lot of boot fitters have told me with other boots how they got this straight. Again, we really tried to take all of the boot fitting kind of issues from the past, take them out of this boot, make this boot as easy to get on somebody's foot as possible.
No, I think you did a beautiful job there. Now, liner. mean, there's a lot going on here. First of all, it looks like we do lace up if we choose to do that.
Yep.
Really nice lateral medial pockets for those ankles, which is really good. Tongue design on this here. As we bring the tongue in further, it's going to hold that lower leg really nicely there too. We do have the ability of adding additional spoiler on here. For myself, who has a very skinny leg, I like to have that there also for additional forward lean on that. Now, we also looks like we've got some pockets on the side here. What's going on here?
That's for your weed.
Oh,
I know you're California, but I just know you guys are just edible with that. So these are, we call them ski edge sensitivity, or SEDS for short. Now this is actually from Porter. So Matt's all the time, he's super sensitive to cuff angles. And you've probably seen in the past that he's putting little pieces of duct tape down the side to just give him the edge performance that he's wanting. This is basically doing that duct tape in a way where it's customizable for the person and also you can take it in or out.
it's almost like internal cuff alignment.
Precisely. Yeah. And it's so that even throughout the day, say in the morning, you want something hyper reactive where it's icy, but then you get a little bit tired, you've had a beer or two in the afternoon, you want to slow things down, you can adjust it and change the feeling of the boot throughout the day if you want. As well as that, it's also going to be a slight fit adjustment as well. So obviously having them both in is going to reduce the volume down a little bit more, taking both out a little bit more volume.
And we do have this on the medial and the lateral side there too. So again, for the boot fitters out there that are watching this is another level of cuff alignment that you can do.
Exactly.
So work from the inside out, then we change our shell shape on the outside there. So that looks really nice. The other thing I noticed with this boot, this feels heavier than the regular Recon.
Yeah.
It feels a little more substantial.
Totally.
So I think that was part of the goal here. Again, it's kind of the bridge to that full bore race boot. It kind of splits the difference of it.
Yeah, like to make a boot perform like a race boot, a lot of the characteristics people like is how damp the boot feels.
Right.
Like you hit something hard, it's not going to be too reactive on it. And the way you have to do that is the plastic needs to basically be softer, which is counterintuitive. You're thinking, all right, I'm making a stiff boot, I'm going to use a stiff plastic. But the way they do it is having a very thick shell so that it can use a lower flex modulus on the plastic, but still achieve the flex you need. Now, something like a Recon or an Anthem, it's such a thin shell wall that if we use a soft plastic that would give us a damp characteristic, the boot would be too soft.
Right.
So there's basically no way to build a really damp boot without going thicker. So the trade-off to that is it has to be heavier.
Yep.
But we feel it's worth it to this style of consumer. I mean, we're talking a difference of 300 grams. It's not a great deal.
No.
But yeah, it will make a big performance.
It's dampening, and we have to remember too that 300 grams is underneath the foot. It's not at the extremity of the ski. So we don't feel that extra swing weight yet. It's right underneath the foot.
Exactly.
So now the other difference that you're doing with this 140 is you've got a huge size range. You're going all the way down to a
22.5 initially.
Yes.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't think there's another 140 out there for 22.5 unless you get into a full bore race boot.
Precisely.
So for those stronger women out there that don't think that the manufacturers are having a boot for them, you've got that boot for them.
Exactly. We hear it all the time, like, oh, women's boots are too soft. Right, like, ski this. I can't ski the way boy natively, so if somebody needs stiffer than this, like, good on you.
If somebody needs stiffer than this, they're getting sponsored.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. You're getting a plug boot. That does
Exactly. Okay, so we've got our 140, the flagship of it. Let's quickly talk about the other boots that are in the collection.
Yeah. So the 130 will be also the next down. So this is going to use the same cuff as the 140, but the shell is going to be just a little bit softer. Oh, not a great deal in it, but basically everything else feature set wise is going to be the same as the 140. It's the same power strap liner.
Yeah, and the same power plate in the front there too.
Precisely.
So so it
It does
just
come stock as we talked about with the Alpine Soul, but you do have grip arc in the box. With
okay,
that.
which is nice. There's a lot of manufacturers gotten away from giving you both soles.
Exactly, yeah.
So
Only going to be this model we do it with.
okay, fair enough.
So like,
Fair enough.
we see it as a user case. Counting it, yeah, it's there, but we put the grip arc in. Okay, beyond that, we get into the 120. Now, the 120 is the first one that we're going to offer in our two different cuff options. Obviously, the zonal BOA, which is the BOA cuff, and then a standard buckle cuff. They are different. No. Obviously, as you'll see, we have a different design here. So the BOA cuff, we do a single wrap around.
Okay.
This we do 2 pieces. So they are different tooling. And again, it's coming back to what we talked about with the lower shell. We believe even with BOA cuff that you can't just put it on the same cuff that you use for buckles and get the best from it. So we did tooling. It's very expensive, but we think it's worth doing to have 2 different options here. I think if anybody can try on, especially the 120 because it's the like for like, but if you try on the 120 BOA and buckle cuff, you'll really be able to feel that difference that the BOA cuff is offering. So yeah, and then last up, we have the 110. Now the 110, I almost say this is, we talked about it's kind of high performance, low volume.
Right.
This is your low volume. It's still a performance boot, but we tried to make it even more approachable. So the liner is going to be a bit more cushy. This generally is for the person who just needs a very low volume fit, but maybe they're not, charging black runs, skiing as hard as they can. They just need a low volume fit. This and the 95 women's, which we'll talk about later, is going to be that boot.
I mean, this is a really nice collection. You're hitting, I think, a lot of the key points of this. You've had an opportunity of stand back, see what the industry's doing in this segment. And I think for the most part, you've got a unique product here that is really close to that race boot, but in that consumer level. Again, gets back to, do you really need a race boot? And I really think that you guys nailed it with this collection.
Thank you.
So this is a really nice collection. Again, Phil and Tom at SkiTalk.com. Go out there skiing, because remember, folks, skiing is fun.
Hello, this is Mike Porter, a new inductee to the U.S. Ski Hall of Fame. Just want to remind you, skiing's a lot of fun. Got to go for it.
To read the full review of this ski, please go to SkiTalk.com and click on the Reviews tab.
Please also hit the like button and subscribe to see future ski reviews along with other ski-related content. And also, please add any thoughts to the comments section below.
And of course, follow SkiTalk.com on all social media channels.
No scenes from Hot Dog the movie were quoted during the production of this video.